Welcome to Market Buzz. I'm Greg Schnell, the Canadian technician and host of the Market Buzz. Each show we do a deep dive into different industries using weekly charts to see what is happening on a long timeline. Please follow me on Twitter at Schnell Investor, and you can also find my blogs on gregschnell.ca as well as stockcharts.com. So this bull market just keeps running. Today we're going to cover off gold and technology. I think there's some ideas hanging out in there, so I'm going to get into that. The agenda, the rallies continue. The NASDAQ is only 11% off the highs. Isn't that crazy how fast that's reversed? Small caps stall, but the large caps don't. They've been booming. So really a big move. And my new website is open. If you want to head over there, there's a couple articles and things you could check out. Lots happening in that space. So let's jump into the charts. I want to start here with IWM, and the reason I want to start here is we have so we had the wave off the low and we've come up, and our high on Friday was up here, which was fine. It was tested again by the Russell today, and as you can see, we finished just below Monday's open, not Monday's close. Monday's close was down here. But you could just see this kind of stalling action 3 charts wide here. It's not major, but it's a place to look. I don't know about you, but this feels as euphoric as it did with the run into February. You might not remember that, but when we were heading into February, everybody was so euphoric and heading into the large cap tech names. I'm just going to pull that up. Heading into the large cap tech names as we went on this big run. And yet the small caps, I don't know if you noticed that, but on there they were making lower highs in February compared to over here. And now we seem to not be making those same sort of, like the NASDAQ's way up here, and this is just kind of jogging sideways. So just comparing the differences in chart profile, but you did see the NASDAQ kind of pause here for 4 days in a row and then literally launch Tesla again, and that was one of the big proponents in February, or propellants in February. It was rocketing up. It had its big $900 price tag and then went all the way down to $350 and now doing well again. And Amazon is a huge piece of news. What a beautiful chart that is. That is textbook technical analysis. Maybe we should just spend a minute to go through that and what makes that so textbook-y. On Amazon, what we see is all through the downtrend here, the scooter ranking held up in the top 75%. And that's not that big a surprise. Most of the large cap stocks fell away, and technology actually held in pretty good. Amazon was only down 20% from the highs, and maybe a little bit more, 25%. I guess we could just drop a quick line on that. And the way you do that, so just to make sure everybody knows, over here on the bottom left-hand corner, just above the word April, bottom left, you can see it says minus 26%. And we know that the index has pulled back more than that. The S&P was down about 35 from its highs. And now what we see on Amazon is this big move to the upside. And the way it's taken off here, came up, settled in this area, and then really when they started to announce how many people they were hiring in March and then hiring again in April, another 75,000, the stock has just started to run. What makes this so complete is you can see the scooter ranking. It was saying it was one of the stronger stocks out there. And then this uptrend in relative strength, saying it was outperforming the S&P 500. Look at the volume coming into the stock on these big moves. That's the kind of move. That's what you want to see on a breakout or on a new initial surge. And I think Amazon could run for a while here. It is really looking good. So that's on a daily chart. Everything's starting to line up, right? You've got volume. Momentum has moved into positive territory and is taking off. These big thrusts, and even after yesterday, investors woke up and hit it hard again, taking it up to new all-time highs. But when we go to the weekly chart, it's an even better setup. And I just want to draw a line in here at 2,000. And the reason for this line is we talk about this a lot. You'll see it throughout technical analysis where you have a stock that just keeps getting trapped at a certain level, and then finally blows through it. And this is a weekly chart. We've only got 2 days in, and it already looks like it would be normal to have this kind of volume back in September, October, November. So stunning volume, and you can see the relative strength is breaking out to new all-time highs. The stock is really starting to power forward, up 12% in 2 days, and just really pushing. Now, on the scooter, or on the PPO, which is a momentum oscillator, what I particularly have liked about this one is this big giant downtrend here got broken earlier in the year, and I mentioned it then, but big rally came down, and notice how the PPO didn't even go back below zero and started to head back to the upside. So bullish, very, very bullish. And that was the pullback of a big 35% downturn in the market. And yet the stock was strong enough, it immediately took that big pullback. A lot of times you'll see it just continue to fall. It didn't do that. It just turned right around and started to head higher. And we all know why. They're probably the single best way to get anything delivered to you in this time of self-quarantining or self-isolating. So I can't say enough about how much I like this chart shape, and it really is. I mean, for a mega cap, this is the kind of setup you dream about. When you get these big long breakouts like this, this is perfect. If we go back, if we go back and look at J.P. Morgan, and there's a reason I want to pick this name, obviously. One of the big stronger banks, you can see in here it had built this big base, call it at 113. We'll just change that horizontal line. And you see this big base, and then all of a sudden it breaks out. Well, this went from 113 to 139, call it 26 bucks on 113. So a good 20% move or 15% move to the upside in very short order here. And it's that kind of breakout that you want to see the stock really starting to pop up there. When that textbook sort of breakout happens, that's a really important place. And if we go over to Google, we see the same thing where there was a big base here at 1290, call it 1300. And the idea being that when you get these big textbook setups of a long Y, this is like a 2-year topping pattern, or not topping pattern, but resistance pattern. And then you finally break out. And if it hadn't been for COVID, I think this thing would have probably soared all the way up with advertising heading into the election in November. So a really brisk pullback here. And you can see the PPO actually got below zero on this one, unlike what it did on Amazon. But in general, the stock has stayed positive for 5 years. But what you see through this whole period in here is it really couldn't get any momentum. And we see that same trait where there's a downtrend in the momentum line, then you finally break out. It coincides with the breakout in price here, and there we go, off up to new highs. And I still like Google here. I still think, or Alphabet, I still think it's a great story. The scooter ranking's got to improve a little bit to get it in that top 75%. And once it gets up there, I'm sure more institutional investors will be hitting it. But that is a textbook breakout that we look for on all of these big weekly patterns. That's exactly the sort of setup we want to find. And I'm going to go show you some now that are just setting up, or one that's just setting up this week. It really looks strong. And we're going to go over to take two. Oops. So we've got the same sort of pattern here at, call it $140. Just put that blue line across there. And what we want to watch for, maybe I could even drop it down a little bit. Let's call it 135. Just make it a little tighter. But this is the kind of setup we're looking for, and we want to see this start after this big long base breakout to a new high. And what we see on the price action is two things. One, you've got this little short trend line here. And we've also got this big trend coming across this major top here. I want to see that big trend broken too, But importantly, this little one's starting to break. PPO just about to turn positive. It's just barely below zero, minus 0.351. So as it starts to shoot up, that's the type of pattern we're looking for. And so I really like it when we get these long uh, support levels or resistance levels that we can't get through, and then they become support when the stock starts to break out. So that is a super nice technical pattern. If when you are searching for this, one of the things people have trouble finding is, how do I find that simple breakout? Just very, very simple. And I'm going to go and show you a monthly scan that we can do to, and again, I think you want to use it across the technology space, but in general, it's okay to widen your scope and just see what else is breaking out too. Right now, obviously, some of the gold names have broken out from that same sort of structure. But we go down here, and I have a scan. Imagine that. I have a scan for monthly breakouts, and where is it? Monthly breakout scan. And I'm just going to run the scan and it'll show you some results here. So we've got 43 stocks that are breaking out to a new high. Now, some of these are bond ETFs or whatever. That's not kind of what we're hoping for. But we got other ones. So now we can just put these, replace an existing, and I've just got a bunch of different scan areas that we can drop this. So we drop it into scanning John, and all of these names, look at how they all start with 90 something on the scooter ranking. Very, very strong, but just starting to break out to new 52-week highs and monthly highs. And I'm just going to scroll down to the bottom here and number this in sorted order. So they're ranked by scooter ranking. And if we just click on these charts, what we see is sometime this month, the stock will have broken out to new 52-week highs. And it's that breakout that we're looking for as we click forward. Now we can just click on View All, and this very simple scan allows us to find stocks pushing up to new highs sometime this month. And again, not trying to get specific, doesn't have to be today or yesterday, but just sometime this month. And obviously a good place to look if you're starting to get these breakouts to new all-time highs. So we got one for Regeneron today. Ring, this one just barely made it up to a new high, but that's a nice setup. This one, wow, Inseego, don't know what they do, but that's a move. Looks like a gold stock or something, the way it surged. Up $10 to $12. And again, I wouldn't have any clue about this name, and all of a sudden here it is just launching off the page. DocuSign, if you've ever tried to buy a house recently, you're going to do a lot of DocuSigning, that one breaking out to a new high. Vertex Pharmaceuticals hitting a new high last week and again testing it this week. Kala Pharmaceuticals doing the same. And here's Netflix. What a beautiful push between both. Amazon's also got Amazon Prime, where everybody's staying at home watching. Netflix got the same thing going on. Who knew that? I mean, it's not a surprise that either one of those stocks would break out when everybody's sitting at home doing what focusing on what they provide. Acceleron Pharma, same thing. Big gap up. Testing this, lived through the whole downturn here, and the stock is holding up really nice. This is the kind of thing, I don't even know what they make, but the chart is so nicely set up. Obviously, investors were very happy to get back into it, and it's already back to $100. Citrix Systems, they have GoToMeeting, same as Zoom software, so not a surprise to see them pushing higher. Limelight Networks, nice breakout here, another technology name. Look at the scooter ranking holding up here above 75 for a long period of time. So scanning for something breaking above 75 works. I like to do that. Scanning for net new highs or new 52-week highs. And if it's the first day of the month, it doesn't work as well. So then you just have to backdate the scan to the day before. So I'll show you how to do that, and then you can scan all of the month of March, what broke out to new highs, and then all of the month of April. And I would have thought that this scan would have had more names that are in the consumer staples and that type of thing, but we're seeing lots of of technology names here. Seattle Genetics. This one looks like it's ready to go on a rip. Amazon, there's the big break. That's just a beautiful chart. Catasys, that takes my breath away. I was in the middle of the sentence there. Just stopped dead. That's a beautiful chart. I mean, it just moves. That's a $250 move in a couple of days. That's a wowza. Catasys, this one's really starting to move here. $20. Nice push. Have to like that. Cytosorbents. And again, you wouldn't even know about these names if you couldn't just run a simple scan. But look at the scooter ranking. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Ran up, held up there all the way through the big downtrend. So what that means is it pulled back, but it wasn't one of the worst ones. Anyway, as it pulls back here, it turns around and heads higher and back above its 200-day moving average very quick and just continuing to run. Orasure Technologies, what a beautiful breakout there. PetMed Express, yeah, probably stay at home medical stuff for your pets. That's probably in high demand, and that chart's just been nice and strong. Really a nice trend. Equinix pushing up to new highs. SBA Communications. Again, all of these were strong stocks in February, and they've managed to hold up and get right back on trend. This was a strong stock all the way through the early part of last year, and then kind of just, it's not that it fell apart, but all of a sudden it lost its mojo, just needed to pause, bounces off the 200-day, starts to take off, and then we had the slowdown, and it's right back on its horse and getting up and going again. Massimo, and again, we ranked these just by scooter ranking up at the top. So here's a new one, just breaks out today. Nice push, 5.9, again, breaking out to new highs. Amedisys, same thing. This was 202, putting on a nice push, bit of a reversal at the high there where you open right at the old high, test a little bit higher and close near the lows. Probably needs a little time to breathe. Qualisys, what a super move above that base. So, running this scan on Friday, Saturday, or anytime over the weekend from Thursday's close, and here you are sitting up 2 days higher, just keeps moving. Cogent Communications Holdings, looking in on National Information Consortium, again a nice wide resistance level like I showed on Amazon. Same sort of thing. It keeps testing, and then it finally breaks through. I'd like it to do it on a little bit more volume. It tried in here and then just kind of stalled. So maybe it hasn't quite got the mojo it needs. We'll watch and see if it's got any power coming up. Haynes Celestial, again, been sitting up here for 4 or 5 months, just kind of jogging sideways. Eventually it'll get its mojo. Silgan Holdings, pushed up nice and high, and here it looks ready again. It was gently climbing higher, but you can see the scooter ranking was saying, you're not keeping up with your peers. So even though the chart looked okay, it wasn't really moving up for the whole year. Here's 31, 31, 31, just kind of hanging in that area, and then briefly pushed out, and then we got the knockback, and it sure fired up again. That was a big, beautiful move. So here's your iShares Treasury bond. Don't really want to go down that whole road. Cypress Semi buyout, I think, and corporate bonds. We're just going to leave all these bond charts here. Anyway, I think you get the idea. Really nice setup. So let's go and let me show you how I did that scan. Just got to find it here. Where's my... Okay, I don't see it up in the header there. Somehow I lost that, so we'll just go back to the dashboard and get it. Okay, so now you see the kind of results it gets, but here's the important thing is, in this particular case, I've got it set up to only do the NASDAQ, and then this month's high is greater than last month's maximum for 12 months, and you could pick 10, 6, whatever you want, and then the close just has to be greater than $5. I don't want a whole bunch of penny stocks that shot up for a day or whatever, and you can set all of these to anything you want. So if you'd like a screenshot of that, just take one, This is very simple to do. And then what happens if I want to run it on the New York Composite instead of on the NASDAQ? I just change out these two. And now it would run it for the NYSE. And again, I've picked a volume of 300,000. You could make that a lot lower if you wanted to include, some gold stocks or something like that, whatever fits your fancy. And then when you run your scan, you can have it ranked by dividend or ranked by scooter ranking, whatever you choose to. Now, again, I said if you wanted to run it for this month, I'm just doing it based on the last market close, but it's saying this month's high. So the way to get back to last month's high is to go in here and just select March and then pick the end of the month. And it'll say starting 9 trading days from here. And what it's suggesting is the 9 trading days from here, so just counting back, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you can pick that, and then if you wanted to do the same for February, you'd add, the 31 days of March, and you'd be back at 43 days or 40 days or whatever. I think if you type that in, it'll pop it up. Yeah, so did I do that right? February 28. Yeah, so starting 31 days. 31 trading days. Anyway, with that, hopefully that gives you an idea. Now, if we run this scan again, it's going to look for what were the stocks at 52-week highs in February. Market has a big pullback. You could just say, hey, they were strong then. Let me go see if they're still strong now. And use that to find your stocks coming off the lows. And again, just by taking those 2 slashes and removing them, they make it a comment. So if you have those 2 slashes there, it will ignore the sentence. And if I took these off and left the word "and" there, you can't be on the NASDAQ and on the New York Stock Exchange. So this wouldn't generate anything, right? So the way to do that then is just to say country is US, and then just either delete these 2 lines or just set them with the comments in front, and then it would ignore both and it would run it for everything. So a very simple scan to just help you find the big winners. And again, Apple's breaking out. It was up 5% today. Microsoft was up 4%, I think. Amazon with a stellar performance. All of these names are really starting to rock in here. Again, it feels to me like the end of February where everybody just kind of plowed into all the high-tech names again. That's okay. They're running. And while that happens, you want to be on board with that. So I think that's a pretty important part. Hopefully I've covered that off. If I didn't, please send me an email at gregs@stockcharts.com, and I could answer any more questions you might have about that. But again, the idea of just trying to find strong stocks breaking out of those tabletop plateaus that I showed you for Amazon, and that big thrust up there, I mean, that's just textbook stuff. And we're starting to see that in the gold names. So let's go over to the gold stocks. And I have a whole chart list with gold names in here. And let's just go grab this. And we'll just, whatever. Let's see who did well today, first of all. And this has both US and Canada listings in here. So just over here on the ticker symbol, the .to or .v means Canadian. But when we're looking through, these are moving 10% a day, 7, 6, 5. That's pretty heady stuff. And then if we ask for on a weekly basis, so this is only for 2 days. I'm not so worried about the stock at $1.79, but a lot of these other ones here, here's an $11 stock. It's up 37% this week. That's the bull, 3 times bull. Sabina Silver up from $1.66, up 38%. These are huge moves. And so it wouldn't surprise me if the gold names need a few days off because they had a run on Friday or late last week to start. And then this week, moving 30% already this week. A little bit of a pause might be in order there. I still think you can own them. I'd just be looking for a little bit of a pause with that much kind of euphoria around them. Not everything goes up 100% a week. And then this is the kind of price bar we got today for this is an ETF just averaging the Canadian gold miners. This is a 2x, but I could just as easy do HGD. I'm forgetting here. Thought about too many ticker symbols. HGD.to. Is that the one I want? No. XGD. Thank you. Okay, got it. So this XGD, what we see up here is that same sort of doji or spinning top, just running out of enthusiasm to keep going. Doesn't mean it's bad, but you notice this black candle up here on that last surge, and then it just started to pause again. So that one coincided with the market top as well. And again, we're starting to see that the S&P 500 just have a few names carry it to the moon. And as I showed the other names, like some of the industrial names just leveled off. Boeing didn't have a very good day today. So when we see that kind of pressure on the big names, perhaps we need just a few days to relax here. So I'd be a little bit cautious on trying to keep adding here, but I wouldn't sell unless you can just put stops underneath everything, and if they start to get hit, it takes you out. But give it time to just keep working its way higher. I was interested when I looked over at Asia just to see how it performed after the U.S. trading session, and it wasn't doing nearly as well, and that's another clue to me that things are a little bit overheated and just need a bit of time off. We'll find out. I'm recording this the night before. Again, everybody's still working from home in the recording studio. So with this, again, is it a pause? Is it a breakdown? I don't know, but there's been enough of a push for a while that we could probably expect the market just to need a little bit of time here to kind of absorb the big gains that we've had. Okay, what else? I have one more thing. I went and did a presentation to the Canadian Society of Technical Analysts tonight, on Tuesday night, and what we see on that presentation was this Valens stock, and this company is just about to move from the venture exchange in Canada to the TSX. I think it's got a US listing as well. But the one reason I wanted to point it out specifically is that it is, well, I might even have it in a, let's go get it here. Have it in a chart list already. Did I put it in here? Valens, GrowthWorks, yep. Okay, the one thing that's amazing is out of all the marijuana names, this is the only marijuana name with an uptrend out of them all. And albeit over the last year, it's kind of been trending down, but you can see with the whole market pullback, it bounced right off its uptrend line. It reported earnings and they looked okay to me. I'm not a financial analyst on that side of things. But that's one marijuana name that's starting to pique some interest for me. The only reason I throw it out there is because I'm also starting to see some setups in Kronos, in Canopy Growth, things like that. So there's a hope that perhaps those names, after a year and a half of getting beaten down, could finally start to turn to the upside. Okay, lastly, let's just go to the dashboard quickly. And one of the biggest things that I want to point out here is it was a very good up day for a lot of stuff. The energy names still continue to get beaten down. Try to be careful there. I think we're a little early to try to get on that party, but it should get a base here pretty soon. So thanks for taking the time to join me on Market Buzz. Market Buzz airs Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. You can also see the recordings on the StockCharts TV YouTube page. And if you get time, head over to gregschnell.ca and check out some of the stuff over there. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Hey guys, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts.com. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember, if you did, give us a like down below, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial minds. We'll see you back here very soon. Happy charting, my friends.